So that was the oldest I've ever heard, I think.
You didn't like the no participation?
I liked how they were exactly they are who we thought they were, in fact. They were doing extended back in my day, and I wanted to ask Dominique, my partner in this segment of young, cool, non-white people, when he watches the kids these days, the kids who did the job that he did in the NFL, former professional quarterback, how much back in my day do you end up feeling?
None. They're so much better than we were. I gotta be.
You're not even gonna fight on this?
The cornerbacks is the most important position outside of quarterback in football. And I know you might think that I'm just being biased, but I think PFF did a thing a while ago where they did like a statistical analysis. And one of the more impactful things you can have is a really good cornerback for your defense. And they changed the rules a lot. When I was coming up as a corner, they were changing the rules in the process. They were making it, if you remember, after the Patriots won their first couple Super Bowls, they then tightened the rules on illegal contact, which made it really hard for us.
Yep, they were beating people up.
Right, and so they tightened the rules on illegal contact. The pass interference rules, they are written as if it is equitable, but they're not, like, treated that way. Like, offensive pass interference is rarely called. It's something you have adjusted. Quarterbacks get more protection. The game has gotten more and more difficult while I was in the league for cornerbacks. And so we grew up playing football a certain way. And then
you had to leave room for the Holy Ghost at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and that wasn't what we were used to. And then they also developed the back shoulder fade. These were things that didn't exist before. And so the game got harder and harder for us while we were in the league. And it was hard to adjust. And the thing that I've realized is the young cornerbacks in this game, when I first got this realization was a couple years ago, I saw corners playing the back shoulder fade in a way that we never considered. Because when you're teaching press coverage,
Let's go nuts and bolts. Teach me.
You're either with your chest to
either opening up your hip or you're not, right?
Yeah, you've either fully opened or you haven't. So you either have your shoulders aligned with the line of scrimmage, or you have your shoulders aligned with the line of scrimmage, but you're facing the other way because you're running with someone. And the corners were starting to do this side saddle technique where they were actually able to play the back shoulder and sprint. And that's when I was like, damn, I could never do that. And it just hit me that they had been the skills that had been coached into them were in a reaction to the league that they were looking at. And they were seeing this back shoulder fade take over the league. And so they developed a way to do it, a way to play against it. And I was just marveled at their ability to do that. And I think part of it is not because they're better athletes, but because the rules have been consistent for long enough for them to still be playing the same game that they grew up playing. Whereas for us, we were like, all right, this is football. This is football.
Wait, so you're saying that you as a cornerback is like you as a person, me as a person. We had to adjust from having a modem that screamed at us when we wanted to dial into the internet to then having an addiction to a cell phone that was going to be universes more confusing than what we knew as children.
I think that's a good example because you notice how younger people obviously have grown up in a world of social media and they just produce social media content that is good.
Yeah,
it just falls out of their
intimidating
out of their
hell.
face, and there's that's a great post from this random 14-year-old girl, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make social media.
Dude, I'm thinking hard.
Let me think of something. All right, let me set this up. Let me do 4 takes. Oh, and I got to start it the right way.
I'm going to script this on a Google Doc first.
You know the kids make fun of you if you start social media videos with okay, they make fun of you because that suggests that you don't know what you're doing. But normally, we don't feel natural looking.
I need to address the magic object that is stealing my soul.
But they just start talking, and I'm like, all right, I got a camera up. Okay, this is what I'm here to say, but they're just talking, and that's the same thing with the modern cornerback.
You're starting a selfie video like you just heard a whistle blow.
Yes. All right, let's do it. But they just feel naturally. But yeah, I noticed that, and so Trayvon Diggs' ability to turn the ball over. It's just outstanding stuff that you see. J.C. Horn is one of the guys that I think is young and really talented. Not to mention, how could Sauce Gardner walk in the league and be the best damn corner in the league on day one. It's just absurd. The length and athleticism and coordination.
So the Sauce Gardner thing, his name indicates that there is a hype that was seemingly designed to not be met. But you're right. I'm looking at all of these like advanced analytic rankings, and Sauce Gardner, cornerback for the New York Jets, has exceeded the hype. Why is he able to be this definitively the best?
So to be fair, it's about the rest of the team also. The rest of the defense also. And so that's why you focus on coaching not to win at a young age, and you focus on coaching to do things the right way. It's clear that this team works well together, and it seems that what he understands really well is the moments in the game. When there are times to take risk and when there are times not to take risk, when to give up something and when to take something away, because he's not perfect. No cornerback is perfect, and that's where the confidence of a corner is something that we talk about, and I wish everyone had. Because we get mocked all the time because people are like, you know what, cornerbacks, if the quarterback throws an incomplete pass,
you're celebrating.
We celebrate like you did something, even if it's just a bad throw. You're goddamn right. Because out there, I'm expected to create miracles happen all the time. The refs are against me. Like, functionally, being a cornerback is like being a black man in America, which is possibly part of the reason why only cornerbacks in America are black men. It's like the system is designed for you to fail. And then when you start to succeed, they change the goddamn rules again. And then you start to succeed, they change the goddamn rules again.
Now you sound old.
Are you saying that Jason Sehorn can dance?
Probably. And then if I happen to have success, it's because you messed up. So I'm celebrating. Ain't nothing wrong with me doing a dance because you're going to dance if I slip. No one is like, hey, they caught a touchdown, and he celebrated because the cornerback slipped. So what? A win is a win. They're hard to get. Let's celebrate them.
Dominique mentioned earlier that the back shoulder fade just kind of appeared out of nowhere. Do we credit, like, is it Brady? Like, who is the inventor of the back shoulder fade?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Let's credit somebody right now. Let's give someone credit.
I would say that Stugotz could help look this up, but he...
John back shoulder?
Just came in from a heater break and is now sitting with his feet up on the back row and isn't even listening.
He came in, he was just like, oh, Pablo's just interviewing Dominique about being a DB? Huh.
John back
real creative.
Wow.
But explain the...
But Dominique, continue to explain.
I have questions. This is what I actually do
make
kind
jokes.
of get off on. I want to know about the confidence, right? Because the back shoulder fade, whoever we're attributing this to, maybe it's Brady, maybe it's whoever, right? We've seen it work in the Super Bowl. The feeling that you got when you were having to defend that was what? Because your job is theater of confidence.
Yeah, so it's frustration, obviously, because initially there are so many routes that you can run. And so when you're playing defensive back, what you're doing is when you're playing it in a smart way, you're trying to reduce the number of possibilities in a play. So you come out of the snap, all right, the down and distance, it's second and whatever. This team on this situation, more often than not, runs this particular play. The quarterback did a hard count, so he knows that we have shown where our blitz is. So when we're blitzing, they like to address the blitz this way. We've demonstrated that we are in man coverage and he's in a tight split. Man coverage in a tight split, they're probably going to do a crossing route. Narrow them down, like essentially you're doing that before the snap. And then the play starts and you're like, all right, he's hard outside fake. Oh, he's setting up a slant. Nope, it's not a flake. He's running straight. This is a go or a hitch. Oh, we went past the hitch distance.
How many seconds have elapsed at this point?
I'm not done. We went past the hitch distance. Oh, this is too far. This is definitely a fade. I got the fade. Turn on the speed. Cut off the fade. Oh, he threw it behind him. What is this? This is not a fade. This is not a hitch. This is not what I am expecting. This is something entirely new that we do not have a technique to defend. So the way that we used to defend the back shoulder fade was give it to him or change the coverage altogether or change the defense altogether to compensate for it, because if they throw a good back shoulder fade, the pressure can't get there quickly enough, and there is no technique that goes for that. And yeah, that's all probably, 2-3 seconds.
According to the Denver Post in 2014, Warren Moon in the 1980s with the Houston Oilers created the back shoulder pass consistently. Jack Del Rio believes it probably first appeared in the 70s with Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Harold Carmichael.
Bart Bear reading Wikipedia is a good role for him.
So I guess not when it was born, but when it was like popularized. Because if it was born in the 70s, I should know how to go. Maybe I'm just the only corner that never knew how to go.
I just want to point out, Chris, that your dad and Stu have never looked younger, giggling over the iPad in the back row like kids in the back of a classroom.
The best part is that they're just Googling Dominique. That's it.
What are you guys finding?
No, honestly, I wasn't. I knew Dominique retired from the NFL young. No. I knew he retired young, but I wasn't sure how young he was. And Dominique, I'm curious, in all honesty, was there a point later in your career where you covered a receiver who just kicked your ass, and it made you think, I cannot cover this man. It's time for me to retire.
That's how Greg feels watching us.
I'd say that it wasn't as much. You know what it was? It was in practice against Torrey Smith. And so, like, my best attribute was speed, and he was a fast player. When I came back from my ACL tear, I tore my ACL right before the lockout. So when we were locked out, I was unable to rehabilitate with the team staff, and I came back and I just didn't have the speed that I wanted to have. And Torrey Smith's a fast player, but he was never like so fast that I couldn't stay with him. But man, well done. Way to sabotage a good segment by tricking me into talking about the most
Dominique,
boring
thank
part
you
of
very
my
much.
life.
I'll try to save it. How do you cover the slant?
Was that invented after your time too, or
They're playing defense, ironically enough, on us.
the slant wasn't around when I was in the league?
Can we talk about 56 kbps modems? I miss those so much.
I don't know what any of those words mean. I know what a modem is. 56.
56 kbps. That's like where I hope that we would have frozen internet connectivity speeds. When you had to wait for a JPEG of Carmen Electra to unfurl down
Why
your
are we
screen.
doing this?
Because that's everything that we are talking about, where I feel kinship with Greg and Stu, is with high-speed internet. And if we just had 56 kbps modems, and I had to earn a JPEG,
This is heading
had to
straight towards
earn a certain something.
Yeah. You know what?
Earn these.
Riley Moss, my new favorite corner in football. Look him up.
Earn these nuts.
Look him up.
So, Greg, how do you defend the back shoulder throw?
That's a very good question. When I played in the NFL, my biggest concern was not being fooled by the Statue of Liberty play.
Right.
So,
classic,
I never really had to concern myself much. But, it's worth talking about. You just can't analyze the back shoulder fade enough. But
Right.
that was never my biggest concern. How about you? How did you defend it?
I took away the back shoulder.
Did you? How did you do that?
I would defend the back shoulder, make him throw it to the front shoulder. It's a much more difficult throw, and plus you have much more help in terms of safety. They don't have to get to the back of the guy, just to the front of the guy.
I like that.
So take away the back shoulder.
Yeah, why don't more corners do that?
Right. I don't know. I mean, if only we had a former NFL cornerback to answer those questions.
I'm telling you, it's
Yes.
crazy.
But take away the back shoulder.
You don't. I do, though.
Good point.
You got Zach Thomas's benefactor is what you got.
Yeah. How you feeling about that, by the way? It was a big mistake by you.
Got a guy with a wooden water bottle.
Yeah.
It's it does look like
Stay
work.
focused.
I know.
Right.
I'm not feeling great about the whole Zach Thomas thing.
Why?
I think I may have misplayed it.
In what regard? For those of you, Greg was invited by Zach Thomas and his family to be part of Zach's Hall of Fame weekend, much the way I was invited by Tony Baselli and his family last year. Now, I went. I had a great time. I'll never go back again. Canton's a strange place, okay?
Yeah.
It just
Oh,
is.
It's awful. I've been there.
Yeah, it's a weird place.
Yeah.
But what are you regretting now that you kind of – I mean, you tried to cut a deal with him. You wanted some stuff on the front end of this. He was just doing a kind thing by inviting you, Greg Cote, a man who has covered him his entire career and written many a great article about him. He just wanted you to be involved, and you said no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't regret that as much as I regret being too honest about my reasoning and everything.
Right.
Because I think it does make me seem a little bit petty, if I'm being honest.
Right.
I do have
Are
I
there
regret
Zach
about that.
Taylor's, like, that position, the middle linebacker position? I'm Zach Taylor, my bad. Zach Thomas.
That's a fine, yeah.
Yeah, I'll pay up. Zach Thomas, like, that position, obviously middle linebacker still exists, but the value of that position has shifted. Who is the modern-day version?
Wow, that's a good
Is there
question.
one?
Good question.
Stay focused, Greg.
Yeah, no. I would say that. Who was the guy who played for Carolina?
Kuechly.
Yeah.
Dan Morgan?
Luke Kuechly, maybe.
Who is no longer a player. But I guess the point I was trying to
No, he retired
I've been
early like
trying
you.
I've been trying to throw you guys lifelines this whole segment. You don't
Right.
want them, but the point I'm making is that the middle linebacker position is one that is no longer in the league.
No, I agree.
What kind of wood is your bottle made out of?
Yeah. So, Greg, stay with Billy. Do not stay with Dominique
Kuechly,
and Pablo.
do you love me?
I mean,
Okay.
Christopher's like in my ear.
I was trying to feed you a great thing to say
Why
right
is
there.
that great?
Hey, can you guys do me a favor and let Greg be Greg, okay?
Let Greg cook.
He's fine,
Kuechly,
okay?
Do You Love Me would have been a great joke.
Why?
Because it's a Drake song.
Oh,
like,
I-
trust the people around you.
So Drake has a song named Kuechly. Do you love me?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's a big middle linebacker guy. He loves the stuff to run.
I'm
Very
telling you, the
specific.
people to trust in this scenario, in this equation, Chris, your son, Billy, because he loves you.
If you want to go back to that, you could say Teakly, do you love me? Because then we're talking about teak wood. Because I feel like that would be on your list of ranked woods.
Yes.
Teak, underrated wood.
Teak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a teak fan.
Top
Really?
5 woods?
No.
Why not?
I like mahogany.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm a mahogany guy.
Do you have a top 5 woods for us?
You're talking about trees? My favorite trees?
Just
Or-
your favorite
Just wood,
wood?
Dad.
Yeah.
Pretty
yeah,
simple.
Yeah, I have a top 5 woods.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 5, pine.
Uh-huh.
Number 4, walnut. Number 3, plywood, believe it or not. Not many people would say plywood. Number 2, mahogany. And the number 1 wood, bamboo.
Yeah!
Thank you.
What about Tiger? I mean,
Tiger wood?
how about Morning Wood?
Morning wood. Baby! There you go.
So your trees, though, are different from your favorite type of wood?
No, those are all trees.
No, but I'm saying your list of top trees would be the same as your list of top
I
wood.
think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think plywood's a tree.
No, you're right.
Comes from one.
It is. It comes from one. Plywood. Nobody respects plywood. Okay, it's the most denigrated.
Why is
of
that?
all woods?
Right.
I don't know. I think because it's layered. You know, it separates. You get You have to treat plywood because if it's rained on.
Yeah.
it
That's why
doesn't
teak
age
is
well.
great. Teak is great with water. They make boats out of teak.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Balsa wood. Get out of here, balsa wood.
Well, it's so light.
Very
though.
flimsy.
So
I-
useless.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the tissue paper of wood.
Guys ever
it
make
is.
like boats out of balsa wood, like in regattas and stuff for like Boy Scouts?
Yeah. I did.
Ooh, are you a
Yeah, me
Pinewood?
too.
Guys,
I was a Cub Scout.
Everybody raise your
Pinewood
hand.
Derby?
Pinewood Derby boys, raise
I
your
was.
hands. Yeah?
Yeah. Me, Dominique, Billy, Greg.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Damn right.
What happened with your son Christopher here? Didn't partake in the Pinewood Derby?
We did not scout with him. It was we sports.
I remember doing something where we go to the next street and we went to some guy's house.
Yeah.
Like, but
That
Stole his
sounds
boat?
Like, nah.
I stole his wooden boat. Wooden leg would be another good use of wood.
Why?
I don't know. People don't have wooden legs anymore. If you need an artificial limb, it's no longer wood. You know,
it's
now
metal.
Yeah,
Are you certain that-
titanium or metal or.
do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
You know what it means? It's time for
No one hears what.
You hear that.
There you go.
Pretender or Contender.
Enjoying the conversation about wood.
I am. Whatever happened to a wooden leg?
Right.
It needs an answer.
Well, go ahead, continue.
Are you
I mean-
certain that no one else has a wooden leg? I mean,
You know what? Anybody in our audience who has a wooden leg, I'd be curious to know. You know, why did the wooden leg go out of fashion?
We should bring it back, right?
Right. It's first of all, a wooden leg is more human limb-like than metal,
blades.
in my opinion.
The
Yeah.
New England Patriots.
At Blade Runner. We don't need to get
Pretender
into him.
or
Jeez.
Contender?
What's
Oh,
the game?
Pretender.
Pretender or Contender?
Pretender.
Pretender, yeah. Division too tough, conference too tough, Pretender. Yeah, Matt Jones, terrible.
That means
Left
that's
foot,
the
left stomp.
that's the Pretender sound.
So we're off the wooden legs now.
I know. I'm looking up wooden legs. Don't worry about it. How many wooden legs?
Speaking of wooden legs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pretender or Contender?
Greg?
Pretender.
I'm going to say Contender. Resurgence for Baker Mayfield. Bad division. Bucks could win that division, find themselves in the playoffs. How about that?
That's how it's done.
I have a good nominee for this game we're playing. Are you ready for mine? Chrissy Hind, pretender or contender? Pretender.
Anything on wooden legs?
Trying to find something. I think Greg's right.
I want the YouTube audience to appreciate how Greg bobbed his head back and forth in celebration at the Chrissy Hind thing.
Thank you. I appreciate
The
that.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, wow, the Jags.
Pretender or contender?
I would say contender because the division is probably the most winnable division in the NFL.
I would say contender as well. Went to Kansas City, won a playoff game last year. Trevor Lawrence takes another step this year, an elite quarterback. Very tough conference. You'd rather be in the NFC. If you're Jacksonville or really any team, you'd rather be in the NFC, but I would say Jacksonville is certainly a contender. They were one of the final 8 teams last year.
Yeah. Yep. Can you buy a wooden leg on Amazon?
You know what? It's so funny because I was looking that up.
I was going to ask you on the subject of wooden legs, are you a peg leg guy or any type of wooden leg is good for you?
I think I'm a peg leg guy, but I would put a fashionable shoe on the peg.
Just on the shoe? You wouldn't, but it wouldn't be like a boot. It would be just a shoe.
It would be like a dress shoe,
Got it.
a
loafer maybe.
moccasin, a
Yeah.
deck shoe.
Huh.
And by the way, the last thing on earth I'm doing is making fun of people with affirmities, and someone who needs a wooden leg, more power to them.
Right.
I think people know that.
Good.
The
Cha-cha, Will
Washington Commanders.
That was Dominique's team last year, football expert, right?
Pretender or contender?
You and Mina keep doing this thing, and Dan and I have noticed it, where you guys were big-time Commander people last year, telling us they're going to be so good.
Yeah.
And every time we question you about it, you kind of sprint away from it. Mina did the same thing last week when she was on with us.
Disowning the pick.
Couple of commies cutting it up.
Yeah, they're contenders.
Not with that quarterback.
You cannot buy
You know
a
the
wooden
quarterback's
leg on Amazon.
Who is the quarterback, Greg?
I'm not going to take a quiz. No, they have a couple. Have they named a starter yet?
Sam.
Sam Howell.
Is it?
Yeah.
They've already
Nice
anointed him?
Would you know Sam Howell
I'm
if he
looking
walked
up
in the
wooden
room?
legs. I
Yeah,
mean,
he was a North Carolina Tar Heel, wasn't he?
Not seeing any peg legs on Amazon.
I
You
know,
can buy
same.
wooden legs for furniture.
You can, yes.
But nothing on
A
Amazon?
bit pricey, Billy.
I find it cheaper.
Stu, commies, pretender, contender.
Pretender. NFC, though. Yeah, pretender.
Yeah, I would say pretender as well.
Yeah.
Unless Sam Howell proves himself.
He won't.
No, he's got a wooden arm.
The New Orleans Saints. Contender or pretender?
Turn
Derek
it out.
Carr.
Derek Carr, that's it. That's all we have. That's the information you have given us. Derek Carr.
Is Michael Thomas still around?
I think so.
Yeah, the ghost of Michael
He
Thomas.
signed, first off, Michael Thomas, of anyone in sports, most looks like he's great at sex. There is zero chance that Michael Thomas is not good in the bedroom. Zero.
Recycle.
Contender.
Pretender.
Good team, good quarterback, bad conference, contender.
Greg?
I say pre-tender.
Huh. Really?
To the left.
The Aaron Rodgers list Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
Jordan Love, can he answer the call or the bell? What do we answer?
It's both of them, right?
Both work.
Pretender or
what?
contender?
I say contender. Yeah, the NFC is begging for a team to step up and be special, and I think it's love time.
So all of your analysis is just what conference they're in. Yeah.
No, but in this case it is.
Well, he
Division.
just said the Saints, who are in the same conference, they're pretender. He said that.
Right. Christopher's not listening.
Right.
Got wooden ears.
Don't swig the coffee there.
No.
That is not swig
Swig
worthy.
that coffee.
Not
No,
a
it's
victory
Stay
swig.
focused.
It's
Victory
not a
sip.
victory swig.
Pinocchio had wooden ears.
Los Angeles Rams, pretender, contender.
Pretender.
Pretender.
Take it back now, y'all.
Cooper Cup can only carry you so far.
So we're still doing this hockey shift thing, where me and Dominique are in. Greg is, quote, hitting the head. Stugotz is in the back row.
I looked up. The term originated on sailing ships where the toilets were at the head of the boat.
We've been talking about jibs today in between segments, talking about lots of nautical things.
I got a great jib.
If you were on a boat like back in the day, wouldn't you just go off the side? Why would you want to
still
collect
do.
that human?
I mean, I think it's probably tough to.
A lot of wind.
Pablo, let's not let them do this to us.
Oh, he's doing it again.
We're
I
not-
didn't even realize that.
We're not.
That was
there.
Billy. though.
Contenders Pretenders was an abomination that I want to address. No.
Are we playing?
It
guys
is
wanna
kind of
play?
like SNES music.
This music sounds like someone should be doing an infield-outfield drill in a 90s movie.
It feels like I just sat down inside of an arcade driving game at a movie theater.
The Chicago Bears. Pretender or contender?
They're definitely not going to win a championship. With Contender Pretender, you got to give them I don't know what the bar is. Like, is it make the playoffs?
Contender or pretender is the game.
Pretty easy game.
Justin Fields is like getting MVP favorite
Yeah.
sort of
I
bets.
mean,
Brian Urlacher still is bald on billboards throughout Chicago.
Not playing the game great so
They
far.
got him DJ Moore, which all quarterbacks that have that big leap early in their career, it seems that the catalyst for that is new offensive coordinator sometimes, but most importantly, a true number one. DJ Moore, a turtle who's a fantastic football player. The question with that is how much of a true number one can he actually be in this system with a good quarterback?
Stugotz, teach him how to play the game.
Contender, Justin Fields, big league. Bad conference.
This is not the territory that I want to be fighting on, Dominique.
I mean, but
We have smart stuff to do. We
I
got
was-
smart stuff to do. We're being lured into
All right, go ahead.
Chris's freaking.
I was listening to their Contender Pretender segment, and I was like, it would be nice to actually tell the people something other than Contender Pretender. Like,
No,
tell
go
them
ahead,
something about the
Pablo.
team.
Smart stuff. Go.
Is God real? Go.
I do think, however, the Bills, their roster, pretty old. This might be their best chance to win the championship. And the Josh Allen's like legacy. I know it's early to talk legacy talk, but I think
Say it.
Oh,
Say
we're
pretender.
doing.
Say it.
We're
Say it.
competing with Stugotz with legacy talk.
I think Josh Allen. So Josh Allen has already jumped over that hurdle of like, is he going to be a great quarterback? He's proven
does
that.
hurdle.
All of us who thought, he does hurdle. All of us who thought he was going to be unsuccessful, and I was one of those people, are absolutely wrong. He's more than successful. He's a centerpiece of a team. He's one of the few quarterbacks that I think kind of makes you contender just because he shows up. But their roster is constructed in such a way that
Did you say but?
their roster is constructed in a way that if they don't win this year, it's going to be a few years, I think, before they rebuild their roster. And this all matters because the way that we remember quarterbacks is largely based on how many championships they won, which is not necessarily fair to a quarterback, but it's the way that we do it. And Josh Allen could be setting himself up
Tell him how to play,
be
Stugotz.
in a situation.
Is he a pretender? Is that a pretender?
Stugotz, tell him how to play. Teach him how to play.
Pretender, tough division, even tougher conference. Josh Allen, probably the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. You know, I was watching the series Quarterback on Netflix, and they went to Patrick Mahomes, who was one of the three quarterbacks, and he said, I don't sweat anyone, but I sweat Joe Burrow. He didn't say Josh Allen. He only said Joe Burrow. Pretender.
Shut the music off. I can't do this.
Dominique was speaking words in tune with the music, and I was very afraid.
Uh-oh. Why?
Because we're not playing our game, Dominique.
Yeah.
We're not playing our game.
You're playing my
I
game.
wanted to talk about the Buffalo Bills in a smart way
Okay.
because we're talking about a team that had the biggest story in the entire NFL. And that biggest story, Demar Hamlin, I don't want people's eyes to glaze over when they hear that name because I think there's actually like interesting stuff in terms of what you do with a guy who is alive and back and I presume wants to play football while everybody else has to be, I don't know, like I think of almost like Vladimir Putin playing hockey. You know, like you're going to defend this guy? What are you going to do with him? Let him score. Let him do whatever you want.
So DeMar returned to practice recently. I think it was yesterday or the day before was his first day at full padded practice. Reportedly, he got an interception in that practice. Hopefully, it was not a Vladimir Putin style interception where they just threw him a lollipop. But It's tough, man. Like, I'm of the opinion that he should not play football, but he's been cleared by a number of cardiologists. There's no health risk. They pointed out that the issue with his heart was a random thing. It had nothing to do with him, so he's at no further risk. There's no reason why he can't continue to play.
Right.
But I just personally, I'm going to have a hard time watching that man go back on the field. And if that's what he wants to do, I root for him. He even was, like, honest about how he's nervous about it. He has fears. But I think the quote that he had was, to bring religion back into the conversation, is my faith is stronger than my fear, which, like, again, to the power of religion, tie it all in.
I am somebody whose faith is weaker than his fear. In fact, that's why I have faith, is because I'm afraid.
It's one thing that I've never understood about, like, religious people is people who are, like, true believers. How do you ever feel fear? How do you ever feel concern? How do you ever truly worry?
Billy was joking.
Can I tell you my theory about ghosts?
Yeah.
Because ghosts connect back to actually religion to me. I would love to see a ghost.
Jesus.
Is your therapist
Because
booked this week,
if
or
I
is it
saw a ghost, Dominique, if I saw a ghost, okay, and I had conviction that this was a phantasm, do you know what my brain would then do? What? It would unlock itself and allow me to fully have faith stronger than fear.
Yeah.
I would then be like, oh, wait a minute. Then all things are possible. God himself, man in the sky, the idea that there's purpose and mission. This ghost has convinced me to believe in the supernatural, which my brain prevents me from doing.
The metaphor for this show and this conversation is kind of perfect because there is, like, a burden that comes with, like, the analytical mind that Stugotz and Greg Cote are free of. And it also, like, the same way that it's talking about religion, where if you read the book, the Quran, the Bible, whatever book, and you fully commit to it and believe in it, that is a much simpler, happier, easier life.
God, contender.
Oh, absolute contender. Oh, such a contender.
It is easier that way. And harder for, yes, these brains that we feel obliged to.
Because, like, the idea that you would be stressing, because there's lots of turmoil in the world always, and things pop up. Like, there's coups happening in African nations. There's
like a mudslide every day that we just don't give a shit about.
There are presidents being indicted. There's lots of things. There's Supreme Courts making changes to law that we thought was settled on women's rights. Like, these are all things that are happening that could stress you out. When I was on vacation, they give you, like, a New York Times digest, and I read it every morning on the vacation, and it was so stressful. But you know what would be nice? Just to be like, you know what? God's got it. That would be nice. Like, I could say that, but I don't sincerely, like, believe it. And, like, when you're on a plane and there's turbulence, it'd be nice to be like, God's got it. And to have the conviction that even if this goes down, I don't care. God's got it. That'd be really nice.
The Cleveland Browns.
This is actually church music now. The Lord. You don't have to worry. You won't be stressed. You hold on to your faith in the Creator. I go to Catholic church now. I grew up going to.
Yeah, we don't have this. We do not have this.
I grew up going to Baptist church where this was the experience. It was fun.
Yeah, you don't bop your head in Catholic
and
mass.
Now I go to Catholic mass with my wife, and it's like.
I'm very impressed that you do that. It's Latin.
That wasn't what I was speaking?
The ones that are always talking like this.
Yeah, that's Latin. Yeah, like that style.
Dead language. Latin, pretender. Latin's a huge pretender.
Is it dead if people are still using it?
People aren't using it.
Well, you just said they do it every Sunday at church.
That's not using it.
That's a good point by Billy.
Dead language. Well, I mean, maybe it's not dead, but it's definitely a pretender language.
It's endangered.
English, pretender language.
Really?
It's alive, but it's a pretender language. English is like, you learn other languages, English is so, like, unnecessarily complicated and confusing in a way that other languages are.
Yeah, like
are
wood
not.
and wood.
Yeah, like what are we doing? Why do we have so many spellings for words that sound the same?
But you need to speak it to fly a plane.
English?
Yeah.
Need to speak English to fly a plane?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure English is like the universal language of flight.
Are you telling me that if I go to like Azerbaijan, there's going to be a pilot who sounds exactly like we got some.
Well, I
cloud
mean,
cover
maybe not to
coming
the
up.
cabin, but I think that if you're speaking to like control towers, it's all in English. I'll look that up.
Pablo, that impression was so good because I think the most important part of a limited fake pilot is the in between sentences.
The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, okay.
Absolute contender.
Really?
Tough division. Real serious conference is going to be really hard.
Getting the hang of it.
They have a great running game, outstanding offensive line, talent on defense, a real game breaker at the pass rusher situation. And the only thing that's standing between the Cleveland Browns and championship is, can Deshaun Watson return to form?
My man.
I got a question about Deshaun Watson. On my podcast yesterday, we talked about this, and I don't know what the right answer is. Yeah,
Good job,
yeah,
Chris.
Yeah, cut the music right there.
Yeah, make sure the bass slide didn't come in before
Yeah.
the Deshaun Watson conversation.
So, honestly, and I would like to put this on the table for the next shift that comes in. I need you guys to determine
like
the
this
answer.
strategy.
Need you to determine the answer to this. Is how do we talk about Deshaun Watson? Because I felt like last year, his first year back, it was appropriate to remind everybody of the sexual misconduct. Every time, so when I was on Get Up or First
Yes,
Take, or
you have to say
anytime-
dozens upon dozens of lawsuits.
Every time I would talk about him, even if it was on-field stuff, like I felt an obligation to point out that he was returning from a suspension, and not just any suspension, a suspension for sexual misconduct.
Yes,
And
that's all we can do in this job.
So, yeah, I guess I'm wondering going forward is when do we stop doing that? Because we do stop doing it for everyone else.
Yeah,
And with
Ben
him-
Roethlisberger, we've
yeah,
stopped.
I mean, Tyreek Hill, and with him, it's particularly challenging because
They'll handle it.
he hasn't like been at all like contrite.